All right, so let's talk a little bit about expectations when dieting and expectations when it comes to scale weight and weight loss. Because I get this scenario all the time. I get these questions all the time that I'm about to explain to you. People with a lot of weight to lose, up front, that weight's going to come off pretty quick. But anyone who's ever dieted knows and understands that as time goes on, as you stick to the diet, you lose less and less weight till finally your weight loss stalls and plateaus. So what do you do when that happens? I get people who write me all the time and they're almost panicked about it. There was no weight loss for the last 2 weeks. What do we do? Well, the first thing you have to do is think that that means that there's something wrong. All right. First of all, your body is always adapting to the stimulus and programs that it's given. You're programming your body and your metabolism by how you eat and what you eat. There's should be expectations that weight loss is going to stall. Use your mind, use your brain, use common sense. If weight loss was a purely linear process, then people with 100 pounds to lose or people with 100 pounds overweight who weigh 300 pounds could get down to 80 pounds. Eventually, weight loss plateaus and stalls because if you understand metabolism, see my book behind me, Understanding Metabolism, you realize the metabolic compensation system is just that, compensating constantly. And the body thrives and strives for homeostasis. In other words, the body wants to stay right where it is. As you start losing more and more weight, the fact that weight loss stalls is very predictable, and it doesn't mean anything's wrong. Stop seeing the scale as the be-all, end-all of everything. It's not. It's just a common indicator that's a useful tool in the right context. Now, the right metabolic context is going to determine what to do when weight loss plateaus and stalls. But the first rule is stop thinking that that means there's something wrong. Oh, all my progress is halted. No, doesn't mean that at all. There can be a million good things going on inside your body that's not going to translate to scale weight loss. So usually 90% of the time, the number one solution when weight loss stalls and plateaus is stay the course. Do nothing different. Just realize that that's the body adapting and compensating. Now, in other directions, it depends on the context of your biofeedback. What does that mean? It means if weight loss stalls, but your energy's good, your workout performance is good, you're not overly starving, you've got good concentration levels, then you stay the course because everything is as it should be, and the weight loss is going to, the body, the metabolism, it's going to adopt, and it's going to progress. It's just resetting and doing a bunch of things on the inside that may not translate to scale weight loss on the outside. It doesn't mean anything. How your belt fits, how your dress and your clothes fit, that's what matters more. On the other side of the equation, if weight loss stalls and you're starving and it's keeping you up at night and your sleep is disrupted and your stomach's always growling and you've got no energy and you've got ADHD and you're irritable all the time, then that is a sign of metabolic downregulation, which means in that instance, what you would want to do is have a couple refeeds, the opposite of what you would think. All right. So instead of, oh, I need to cut carbs, I need to diet even harder. If weight loss stalls and plateaus in that context, then you need to go the other way. You need to refeed for maybe a day, maybe 2 days, maybe even longer. And yes, in that context, you'll gain weight up front, but you'll reset and reboot metabolism and you'll lose weight over the coming days and weeks. So it's not about thinking that because weight loss stalls, something's automatically wrong and there's no progress. Stop putting every single stock, all the eggs in that basket that the scale is telling you everything. The scale is just a very mild indicator of a lot of things. So it's the right biofeedback metabolic context that matters, that determines what you do when weight loss stalls. But the first thing you do is stop seeing it as being something wrong. All right, just because you desire more weight loss, give the body time. Hands off. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it doesn't mean it's broke just because weight loss stalls. weight loss stalling is a very predictable outcome of the ongoing process of the metabolic compensation system. And if you don't get that, then you're always going to be in frustration mode where you're going to lose weight and gain weight because you're always tweaking based upon what the scale says, and it should be 90% of the time hands off as long as you're following everything. So, as I like to say, some of you will get it, some of you won't. This is explained in detail in my book, Understanding Metabolism. But like I said at the beginning, if weight loss was just a linear process on the scale, then people could get down to 70 or 80 pounds. Eventually, the body wants to adopt and metabolically compensate for what you're doing, and that's a very natural, very normal, very understandable process, and it doesn't mean something's wrong. Much of the time it can mean that something is actually good, and it's a good sign that the body is metabolically active and metabolically cooperating. So it's not as simple as black and white. It's not 2 + 2 = 4. And if you have a trainer or a coach out there who responds to, what do we do, my weight loss stalled, and they respond with more cardio or cutting your calories even more, then they're idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand metabolism at all. So, in other words, stop seeing stalled weight loss on the scale as being something wrong. It's very often just a very understandable adjustment of the body, and that's, I don't want to say more than that because it'll get into more and more details, but my book, Understanding Metabolism, is all about showing you all about understanding the metabolic compensation system and how that plays out over the long term. So again, just because scale weight stalls and plateaus as you're losing weight, that's a very normal, very predictable, and very understandable process. And your first rule of thumb when that happens is stop seeing it as being something wrong. If you're following everything and the body is plateauing for a while, that's metabolically understandable and quite predictable. Otherwise, people, like I said, would get down to 90 pounds, 80 pounds, 70 pounds, and that makes absolutely no sense. So keep some common sense in mind, and keep in mind also that the scale doesn't tell us anything without the proper context of how the body is functioning within that scale indicator being up, down, or not moving at all. So hopefully that makes sense. Some of you will get it, some of you won't, but that's the reality of what to do, what not to do when predictably weight loss stalls and plateaus at a certain weight. So stay tuned. I'll bring you more another time.